Greetings, Goddess Body Mind Spirit community. This is Tirra Omilade, your goddess guru. And you know I love helping women align with their life purpose using ancient wisdom so that they confidently and courageously live the amazing lives they know they deserve. You know, I think about what it takes to step into this place of peace and tranquility, self-love, self-value. What does it take? Well, it takes doing the work, taking the time to pour into yourself day in and day out. With consistency, I'm telling you, it wins us big in the goddess tradition, in life in general. People underestimate the power of being consistent and being committed. And so that's one of the pieces of the goddess lifestyle that I like to let people know about. That when we're stepping into this divine feminine way of being, it's very similar to when people take supplements. Those of us who know about supplements know supplements don't necessarily work like medication does. Medication is meant to act pretty quickly. You start seeing some relief of the symptoms right away. But we all know, oftentimes, majority of the time, medication is not curing you. It's just treating the symptoms. And so when we start taking something like herbs, which typically is going to be going for the root cause of what's happening, at least on a physical level, maybe a little bit on the energetic level, then we know. We always tell people, hey, you may have to take this for a little while to get it into your system, but you will start seeing some noticeable results, you know? And so that's what the spiritual practice is like. We have to do our spiritual work day in and day out. And it's like herbs. The longer you go, the more you see the results. And oftentimes when we are using herbs, it's very subtle. And then all of a sudden we're like, huh, or maybe it's not herbs, maybe it's some natural healing modality. And we're like, huh, I'm feeling better and didn't even realize it. I mean, like, whoa, right? This is the goddess-centered lifestyle. We commit and we stay consistent in the practice. And so using things like affirmations, because y'all know I love sharing affirmations. I always feel like affirmations get a bad rap, but at the end of the day, this is what I'm telling y'all. I know for a fact, probably everybody who's looking at this video has been in a phase or is in a phase where you constantly are putting yourself down. You are beating yourself up. You're telling yourself about how you did not do enough today, how you haven't gotten to where you thought you were supposed to be in life. You don't have this relationship, or your body doesn't look that way. Your money doesn't look this way. Your career isn't going the way you thought it was going to go. We do this day in and day out. How is an affirmation going to hurt us, right? I do encourage us to remember we want to embody this. How do we embody the affirmation? Well, we take action on it. For some of us, the affirmations that we use are affirming what's there. And that is important. It keeps it fresh, right? You're already embodying it. Some of us, what we have to do is we have to figure out, say for instance, one of the affirmations that I pulled today, I am courageous. So that means, okay, I am courageous. It's great to say that. This is how affirmations get a bad rap. Someone says, I am courageous. Yes, I am courageous, and we feel it. But then we don't take action. That's part of the 3-part goddess framework that I teach. The third part is action. And so I encourage you to think, how can you be courageous? The message is, I act bravely in the face of adversity. And that is something I think we'll really need this week, actually. Walking in being courageous. And courageous is not fearless. It's I am willing to go on ahead and move forward without knowing exactly what the outcome is going to be. It's actually to a certain degree a surrender of control, but I do see it as taking a step into your personal power when you walk courageously. But this week has some aspects, some astrological aspects to it. It is the roughest astrological aspect that we will feel all year. Like in my inner circle, a membership that I have, I would love it if you looked into it and joined us, if you feel so moved. I say on a regular basis, 2020 was like one of the worst years to share astrological wisdom on a regular basis. It was just depressing. And this week is one of those weeks where I said, I just really hate that I have to share this aspect. Though for me, I I bow down to the wisdom of all of the aspects. I see astrology as living, breathing energy, not just, I don't know. It's not light for me. It's true wisdom. So I honor this. It's, if you know a little bit about, or if you know something about astrology, it's the Saturn-Uranus square. And so this is a challenging aspect. It's between two heavy-hitting planets, and we feel shakeups and shakedowns and change, maybe all of a sudden, but the actual change won't happen. The actual change won't happen unless we take the steps that are being called to take. It will be change, but it's not necessarily sweeping change. It's change that is mandated, but we've got to take the steps to get there. So, yeah, this week may be challenging. And the crazy part about it is, for all of us personally, we may feel this, but when we look into society, because these planets, they show us what's happening on the collective more. And I had posted examples of this in my Instagram stories at Goddess BMS, if you are not following me on Instagram yet. But one is what's going on in India with the farmers. That is, that's a reflection of this energy. And then the other one is, there is, and I don't have all the details, I probably shouldn't even mention it, but there is something going on with Uganda. And in both Uganda and India, it has to do with the government. And it's also what we see here in the United States, what's going on here. And it's all involving the government, and it's the people that are rising up saying, nah, y'all not gonna act like this with us. We tired of this oppression. This week it's a heavy week. It's a very, very heavy week. And so I am courageous. Maybe it's what you see in the collective. You'll have to just be courageous and know everything is working in my favor. We have to speak these kinds of things into our lives. We cannot let the world dictate the meaning of whatever's going on in our lives to us, okay? And so I will be courageous and I will keep living my destiny. Maybe that's the decision you're going to make, and then you actually do that, right? Look for evidence of you embodying the affirmation. The second one is, I am joyful. I am joyful. I experience beauty and delight in each moment. And I see this as a great affirmation because I feel like what happens for a lot of us is when things happen that perhaps we aren't happy about, we don't like it, we are trained to think, well, you got to feel down and you got to, you got to feel a certain way. You got, and you got to act this out. And I'm saying that to say that if this week is one of these weeks where it is challenging for you, you can just decide, you know what, let me choose how I'm going to feel about this. Let me choose the meaning that this has. And then from there, I can move forward. I'll give y'all an example, actually, for me. After having COVID, and then having a COVID relapse 10 days after my last, after I felt my last symptom from the first go round. I now I don't like what this is how the response has been, so that so many people have died. But what I can say is, for me, someone who has to always find her lemons, turn her lemons into lemonade, I really see how COVID actually forced me to do some things that I knew I needed to do, but just didn't do. I just kept saying, yeah, I need to do this. Maybe I'd give it a little bit of a try, and nothing would stick and stay. Mainly overworking. I just go, 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 go. Push, 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 push in any number of areas in my life, to the point where it's all about self-negligence, not taking care of myself. And so in the midst of, first of all, I felt horrible. Secondly, it's scary a little bit for me having COVID. It's been very scary, especially having a relapse. And it's other things that I'm having to look at in terms of, like, I'm not fully like who I was before I had COVID. And so I said, you know what? I am going to see this through the eyes of joy and appreciation, and seeing this as an opportunity to completely and totally reset myself. And so before, it was just like so much frustration around this, which there's frustration around the response. Don't get me wrong about that. But personally, when I hear people saying, I hate COVID, and, just COVID is horrible, I'm like, I think COVID may have actually, even though I'm scared of some of the side effects I'm still experiencing, I think COVID may have saved my life. It's just choosing to take not an unrealistic one, but one where it's just, I don't want to feel down just because something negative has happened to me. And the way I looked at it is, I will never get well. If I hate COVID, if I'm feeling all this negative energy, I do have to, settle my mind at times when I think of certain things when it comes to COVID. I'll never get well. I'll never get well. So I am saying this week, and 3 more times this year, this aspect, it could bring some energy where we're like, I don't like the way this looks. I don't like what's happening. But this joyful way of operating in life, why does it only have to be attached to when something good happens? Joyful is when we take it out a bit, it is a way of being. It is a part of our natural state, and it speaks to our level of trust and relationship with the divine laws of the universe, with Goddess, with God, whatever you call this energy. It speaks to our relationship. It speaks with how much do I trust that the universe is working in my favor, in the favor of everyone here. Okay? And it allows for what? Creative solutions to come through. This joyful place, it opens up creativity. And though we may see, harm and things happening in the world, because that's what we may begin to see, we can still operate from a place of joy. We can still bring joy to somebody's life. The last thing that I'll share is, I'll never forget, I was devastated to see how war-torn Syria was. I have friends from Syria. They aren't there, but were devastated at what was happening in their country on a number of levels. And I remember watching a video of a young man in Syria who had, I think it was like a ballet, it was some type of dance studio. To see that he had this studio in Syria and was bringing joy, ooh, it touched my heart so much. It's to see He was teaching all these people dance. He was dancing so joyfully. But when you looked at the scene outside, all of these buildings crumbled, and you could see they had been hit by bombs. Governments are what mess up all of this. These are innocent people. I don't know if I'll ever forget that. It spoke volumes to me of how we've got to keep dancing. We've got to keep bringing the joy. I've been listening to poets this weekend, and I'm like, man, if we don't have the poets, if we don't have the artists, if we don't have the creatives, the musicians, whatever the artwork is, the visual artists, and the people who are creative with food and architecture or whatever the creative is, just the things that bring beauty and meaning to our lives, we cannot make it. This is what being joyful is all about. It's about saying, this is an antidote. Let's look at it like that. Joy is an antidote to problems. It's an antidote to a world that appears to be hateful, chaotic, all the different words that we may use. It's an antidote. It's an antidote for the world. It's an antidote for us personally. So I hope that these affirmations, and so I encourage you this week, I am joyful. Do something that brings you joy. This is how we embody this affirmation. What can you do to bring you joy? What brings me joy is sharing wisdom. When I feel down and out, I will crank on a camera or turn on a video and crank out some wisdom that came to me, or create some graphic or some post or whatever. It brings me so much joy. What brings you joy? Do it. Embody that this week. It is medicine for the world. This is Tirra Omilade, your goddess guru. Thank you so much for your time today. Let me know, what do these affirmations mean to you? Come back during the week and let me know, how have you embodied them? Also know that I do readings, goddessbodymindspirit.com. You can get a reading by going to my website. I also have an inner circle where I share like this on a regular basis, all week long, week after week, month after month, year after year. So you can find out more about that too at my website, goddessbodymindspirit.com. Thank you all so much. Take care. Have a wonderful week. Peace and love.